Hey friends, I'm Lindsay Morgan, Nonprofit Resource Specialist at the Community Resource EnVision Center. But my friends call me Birdie, and you can too. Welcome to A Little Birdie Told Me, formerly known as the EnVision Center News Podcast. Around here, we share the good stuff happening in North Idaho nonprofits and philanthropy, the stories behind the work, the people making it happen, and the little things I'm hearing that are making a big difference in our community. So stay tuned for a bird's eye view of the true heart of our community. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. This is sort of a special edition because we have essentially a panel of 3 nonprofit leaders in our community from different organizations to help us unpack a really interesting topic today. We're calling it The Face of Hidden Homelessness, and it sounds like it came out of a conversation that you all had at a meeting recently. And so we thought, we better record this. This is good stuff. So thank you all for being here. And if you would, just start off by introducing yourself and what organization you're with.
I'm Trinity Nicholson, the Executive Director at Panhandle Special Needs, where we do life skills training and employment services for adults with disabilities.
Wonderful. Hey.
Rebekah Little with Bridgehaven, formerly known as Bonner Homeless Transitions, and we are a 2-year transition program for women and children.
Todd Sorensen, Helping Hands, Healing Hearts, and we are a community outreach program to homeless and marginalized community in Sandpoint and Bonner County. And we have a store, and we do counseling, and we do rent assistance and all kinds of fun things in the community.
So this is a really good panel, I think, of a good mix so that we can talk about this stuff. So thanks again for being here. It sounded like to me, and I wasn't there for the conversation to begin with, and so a little birdie told me that we should talk about this. Essentially, it's the issue of a hidden homeless population in Bonner and actually Bonner County. So I'm invited you today to see what it looks like on the ground and the populations that you're serving. So to start off, if somebody wouldn't mind, just let us know what hidden homelessness actually looks like. What does this look like? One of you.
This is a story that came from a couple weeks ago. So I was with a donor, a potential donor, and we were talking about what we did at Helping Hands. And he said, well, we don't have a homeless problem. And so that's kind of where we started that conversation. And so I said, well, there's lots of places where the homeless live in Bonner County. And for sake of protecting some of those hidden spots, I won't say exactly where they are, but they're tent camps. They're RVs. They're folks living in their car. They're living out of their storage shed. And so our here in Sandpoint especially, but Pend Oreille and all through Bonner County, the Sheriff's Department, our law enforcement does a great job of protecting property rights. And part of that is maintaining those spaces, those public spaces. And so that's why we don't see it. And so it's if you've ever driven out an old rural country road and you see 4 or 5 RVs and a couple of tents and a couple of old cars, that's a homeless encampment. And so sometimes it's really easy at 45 miles an hour just to drive right by that.
Sure. Right. Okay. So maybe what do you think it is that people in our area, and maybe it's even the person that you talk to, what do they expect when we say homeless? Is there an image that pops to mind? What is it that they think?
At least what I run into is they think of what they see on the news in Spokane or Seattle or
your areas.
And for us, like Todd said, they're living in their cars, they're couch surfing. They are too afraid to leave a dangerous situation because they don't think they have anywhere else to go.
Okay.
You know what I think I notice about this population, and I have kind of a unique perspective on this just because of the people we serve, but Sandpoint and Bonner County, I think in general, is highly tolerant and helpful. the couch surfing population, I bet, is bigger than most areas. People willing to take somebody in for a period of time, and then they can kind of move on to that next place. And where maybe cities have these large groups that are on the street together, we have places in this area that people can go, which are our agencies. They might spend from 9 to noon at one place, then they mosey on over to another, then they stop in and see me, and I bet we all see the same people every day in kind of a circuit vibe
Okay.
that keeps them not congregating out on the sidewalks, which in a lot of ways is really beautiful.
Yeah. Just to bounce off that, I had an intake. We do at Helping Hands, when a new client comes in, we do an intake process, and we verify their income, and we go through that whole process. And one of our longtime clients brought in her new neighbor, and it was really fun. She says, "I'm just showing my new neighbor the ropes." So to your point, it's
Yeah.
just, this is one of the places you go in the circuit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So speaking of what makes it hidden, that is really the imagery. Like it's literally hidden. Like it's because you can't see it on the streets or like in bigger areas, it sounds like. So what are some, actually you've kind of mentioned and touched on some examples of different living situations that really are homelessness in our area. You mentioned trailers and vehicles. Is there other situations that cause or that makes a person homeless because they are there?
One of the aspects of this that's interesting is, and doesn't actually make it into the statistics, is the partially homed person. And what I mean by that is that, let's say they're working and they have a job and everything's going well, and then they get hurt. So for the majority of the year, they had an apartment or they had a roommate or whatever. And then they got hurt or they got sick or they lost their job. And then all of a sudden now they're living in their car. And they might live in their car for 6 months until they can put it all back together again. Right. And then they're back into a place. Well, that doesn't really show up in the statistics, but that's a person that we care for. Right. And that the community, could care for. Right. But doesn't see. And
so like a temporary sort of
temporarily
thing,
homeless. Yeah, there you go.
but it's still homelessness,
Yeah.
is what you're saying, because they're still being served by, or they still need services and support.
Right. Probably for all of us, we see that in and out phase of it where they're repeat visitors.
Okay.
That we help them get stable. They seem to be doing well. We've moved on to more caseloads, and then they're back in our doors again. So
Okay.
The other thing to remember is you don't have to pay to camp on Forest Service land. So like up Trestle Creek, they can camp up there for free. They just have to move every 14 days. So some families will do that during the summer to be able to make it through the winter, and then like rent a room or a garage from someone.
Oh, okay. So they're not having an expense, that same living expense all year long.
Yeah,
right.
and then they just keep a post office box.
Okay. All right.
One of the things that I'm really passionate about is that many of our clients are caught in a generational cycle of poverty. And part of what we're talking about is that. So they're in a constant state of crisis, whether they're homed or not. And they're moving from crisis to crisis, and it becomes sort of a way of living.
Yeah.
And so they're just always in that resource deficit, looking for that next, maybe a meal or a next place to stay. And it puts them in a great deal of risk. And so part of what I really envision for us as a community of nonprofits caring for this need is that we help them come up and out. And so there's this movement where we're taking away barriers. It's not just charity for the sake of giving them money or solving a problem. It's about figuring out what would make them successful, what would give them a really good life, where there was peace and where there was safety, and the next generation could grow up without that trauma. Right?
Absolutely. And we see that here at the Resource Center even, where, as you know, if you don't have a roof over your head, it's really hard to think about anything else almost, or it leads to food insecurity, or it leads to another issue. And so just having one of those basic essential needs really can topple over onto getting other needs met.
When you look at this pathway out concept, which I really appreciate the way you put that, for our program, we actually focus on people experiencing homelessness who have disabilities. And I was noticing some of the information we have today that population is not tracked or called out. But when you look at someone who's struggling with a developmental disability in particular, but also extreme mental health, to expect them to be able to navigate systems if they don't read well, if they don't have those skills, they need specialized care. So at Panhandle Special Needs, that's what we provide for those populations that we've identified as developmentally disabled. So I think for that group, all of you have touched on that group. We're trying to get them out, find out what are their benefits. Are they diagnosed? Can they get on SSI, which we call the 900 Club? Because your SSI that's what you get. How do you live on $900? But we know how. That's what we teach.
That's what you see.
need to get on low-income housing, 2-year wait list. I think that's such a challenge as we help people. The solution is not immediate. You have to craft it out. You have to be patient, and you have to have these phases of, we're going to do this until this, and then at that point we can move on to this and kind of build that structure. And so this is our 3rd year providing these kind of services through grants, which we know are going to probably expand this year. But it's been a new experience for me in the 3 years we've done it, that how much correlation there is between people with mental health and disabilities and the homeless population.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And to touch on, I'm glad that you mentioned mental health, because mental health, substance abuse, it all goes hand in hand in homelessness. And so, and like Todd mentioned, is really breaking that cycle, right? Yep. So when we have an intake, say, from the county jail, and we bring them home, and they remember growing up in the Kinderhaven building.
Oh, yeah.
And we've had a gal that I brought home from jail, and she's like, I actually feel at home because it was the only stability she had growing up. Or you take in a mom and her kids, and all those kids have known is chaos, no stability whatsoever. And so being able to provide that and showing them a different way and helping them believe in themselves that they can do it, that's why we say 2 years. Now, if someone needs a little bit longer, obviously we're not going to boot them, but the goal is 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like that. That longevity is important. So we are able to work with people for long periods of time, especially if they qualify for traditional services. We do menu plan, cooking, shopping, housekeeping, laundry, budgeting. And I feel like we're just actually finding our rhythm in working with some other agencies where they're doing this part and we'll do this part, and partnering in that way. Now, at PISNey, we do a lot with the housing community, working with landlords, letting them know, hey, if they're in program with us, give them some grace, because landlords know we're going to help make sure they pay the rent. We're going to go in and help them clean their house. Now, that's probably not all services. That's just something we're able to do. But it really is this network of support. And when each person can take their specialty, that's really when really beautiful things start to happen.
And I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is really the basic of having you all here, is seeing how organizations are partnering together, because it sounds like, and it seems like to me from what I've seen, it's not, like you said, not going to be solved overnight. And it is more than just a place to sleep also. So having organizations work together, what would you attribute a successful partnership to? What does that look like?
Lots of communication.
Lots of communication.
Okay.
And accountability. I think a lot of times, at least like our program participants, they've kind of run their own show, or that's what they're used to because that's what they grew up with.
Survived.
That's all they know. And so showing them a different way, holding them accountable, communicating with the other organizations in town, is crucial.
Yeah, knowing that if we've got a shared participant that we're all working with, kind of knowing what each person is doing, and just like you said, accountability. I can say, hey, you're working on that with so and so.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're at with that. Sometimes if an answer is given that's not popular, they're going to go to someone else to try to get that other answer. And so if we're all on the same page, going, okay, this is the path that we're on. It's really helpful, and a shared client is less stressful on the agency and our resources as well. You know, that's more people engaged in their life, more positive reinforcement, more examples of healthy living. The same message coming from multiple people is always more powerful than just one. You can sometimes feel like the parent at some point,
Sure.
where you're struggling. So you've got other people helping get the message out, helping them learn, and of course. Sometimes I wonder who's training who. Like, I've changed a lot, haven't I? Wow. but that's, you know, the shower vouchers from YMCA and clothing from Love Inc. and like actual housing from what's your guys' new name? I keep forgetting.
Bridgehaven.
Bridgehaven.
Which housing is a part of it, but we're a program with the accountability, which is nice. But I mean, we have shared clients, we all
Yeah,
do,
we
right?
all.
So just being able to support them, every day is an opportunity. And
And someone you can call as
Yes.
providers, like, hey, I'm a sticky wicket right now. What you got?
tag, you're at Trinity on this one.
There's a really good financial benefit as well, because each organization has a personality, and that personality is attractive to certain donors.
Sure.
Right, and so that allows so Sandpoint's actually a really benevolent culture, just as a culture, right, as a city, and Bonner County, and just in general, right. There's a lot of wealth here, and there's a lot of people who really want to care and take care of problems. So, but we don't have access to that group. I have access to some. You guys have
Yep.
access to others.
That's
And
a
so
really
when
good
we
point.
pool those resources, we're really pooling the benevolence of the whole city.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that.
Yep,
that's a
that's very-
great point. Absolutely. It does take all of us. It takes a village, as they say, right?
For sure.
But it is true. I spoke with Robin from Habitat for Humanity recently, and she described it as, giving folks in that situation a hand up, not a hand out, and having the program structured in various organizations like you all have. I think really helps, because it's like you said, we're not just trying to get you into a place to sleep tonight. Life has to go on past that, and having those skills to be able to do that is maybe just what they're missing. So I love that. I spent some time in Seattle with my son, who is 11 recently, or he will be 11, and it looks different there as far as homelessness goes. But I really love, this is the great thing about having kids, right? You get to see the world through their eyes. And it was really interesting and cool to see my son respond in a way where he said, Mom, this person might just be having a bad day. You never know. They might have just got really sick and lost their job. And I was just so proud of him.
Sweet.
But it is true. And so on that note, what is a common thing or conversation that you're hearing from folks in the community? What can we inform them or educate them on, if we haven't already brought it up, I guess? But is there any other thoughts around that?
The community as a whole, or program participants?
Community as a whole.
I think education is the more that we can educate the community and, I hate to say, but recognize, that there are homeless in our community, hidden, invisible, whichever you want to use. To me, it's the same. And, you're standing behind them in a grocery store. You're in the pickup line at your kid's school. You don't know, because they are different here than Seattle or Spokane.
Kind of camouflaged. I do think, one thing that as the community learns about the resources available, if you know one resource and you feel confident to say, hey, have you thought about this, you know them all. Get them to, you don't have to know all of them. Get them to one of us. We know the rest. And then we could start guiding them through. So if you just kind of, feel comfortable in making a suggestion to someone, hey, have you been here? But really, isn't that what the Community Resource Center is all about?
Yeah, and well, it's in a way that's...
Get here and know 'em
We are
all.
just like a personified version of you all,
Yeah.
right? Where there's so much work being done behind the scenes and connecting folks. And so just starting with one, you have a really good chance. We're lucky in our area that you do have a good chance to get access to others.
Yeah.
Does the hidden nature of homelessness that we're talking about, does that make it harder for them to access support in any way?
I think,
are you able to
yeah,
find them?
Yeah, no, I think there's two sides to that. So, on the one side of it is funding. So, because just generally speaking, both from a political side of this, but also just the experience that the average citizen has, we don't see the problem, right? So we don't put any funding towards it. We don't have any conversation about it. So that's one half of it. From the side of it, from the client side, for them, what it is what can they get to? So we sort of take for granted. I drive 14 miles two ways every day. I don't think anything about driving that. But when you don't have a car and you're on a bike, right, getting to services is a big deal, right? When is it open? Did I just, if my last $5 worth of gas, did I just drive all the way across town to get that thing I needed and it's closed, right? So there's two kind of stories there. One is, does the community know about it, to fund it, to support it, to have that conversation? And then on the other side of it, how does the client actually access it? Can they get to the services?
So is transportation a barrier that you see?
Huge.
Yeah, in our area, right?
Yeah. I mean, Spot Bus is free, but there's limited hours. There's limited spots. Thankfully, the food bank is moving, so there will be access to the food bank. But think about it. If you have a single mom with 4 kids, no transportation except a bicycle or the Spot Bus, getting groceries home from the food bank or even Walmart, I mean, it's a lot.
Just even the mechanics of getting around.
Right.
I think because a lot of the population is on the outskirts of the town, they've also got to get to town to then even access Spot Bus. You know, it's not like they're pulling up to the places where some of our folks are.
And even limited hours. Recently,
Yeah.
we've expanded our program, so you don't have to live in our program to receive case management and services from us. And we have a community program participant that's pretty much homebound and needed some rental assistance this month. And so I went to all the different organizations. Some of them are unable to help if she's not in person, which she's unable to be there in person. Even with like Todd and I vouching for her. And those are limited hours, like the different organizations that are able to help, like 10 to 1. If the person's working, are they supposed to leave work to come and try and receive the extra support? So, yeah, I mean, there's lots of barriers in different ways.
Yeah. I keep thinking about our poverty simulation, where our characters, me and Rebekah, we were husband and wife.
Yes. And
we struggled.
yes.
Because it was that, I mean, we were employed in that scenario. It's a mock scenario for those that don't know. But you really get a sense of really having to make tough choices. You have to decide on... And you have to pick between this very important thing and this very important thing. Something's going to give. Is it your son's medication? Or is it groceries? Or is it getting on the bus to go to work?
Yeah.
Or, it is a lot of managing those decisions, which is hard. And I think people should understand it's hard. And that's saying it so simply.
And with that being said, like, you can't be late for the bus, but the bus might be late for you. And you just have, and so, we have a client that just last week, it was one of our first warm days, and the bus was late. And so she ended up walking mostly across town and, and then she got to that organization and they were closed.
Darn it.
So,
And for me, just because I have that spin on people with disabilities, decision making isn't a strength. So when you're in these decision making modes, it's so easy just to genuinely think you're doing the right thing and trying to help yourself, and all of a sudden these terrible consequences begin. The spiral starts, and so I feel really passionate about that particular population. All homeless are struggling for sure, but that particular group is very vulnerable.
Absolutely.
and trauma, even if, trauma, I think, can be its own
Yeah.
limitations,
Yes.
and with substance abuse or domestic violence on top of it, there's just so many layers.
Yeah, and it's not always, you bring up domestic violence. Having been a victim advocate prior to this job, it was a lot of, it's not as simple as, why don't you just leave?
Right.
I mean, for many reasons, but also to where.
Yeah.
And I could get on a whole tangent about domestic violence, so I won't do that, but I'm just passionate about it. So what can our community members do to help aid in this issue that we're having?
This is something that I'm really excited about, so I'll jump in here. So there is something that is really amazing about being involved in another human being's life. And so if every retired guy out there just took one young man and walked alongside him for a year, he would fundamentally change that young man's life. He doesn't need any special skills. He doesn't need a counseling degree. He needs a couple of bucks and some coffee. Sit down with the kid, spend some time, figure out what's going on, help him make those decisions, maybe remove some of those barriers. So my encouragement to the community is get involved. Come down to Helping Hands and hang out and sort clothes for a day. It'll change your life. And if you've got spare time and you're wondering what to do with it, well, we'll figure it out for you. So,
Or even just being open to it organically, right?
yeah.
Like you see something, even like for that second, maybe it's not invisible, right? And you see something, or if you just give somebody some grace because you don't know what they're going through. Just that golden rule, right? That makes a lot of sense to me.
Something to go with what you
Yes.
just said there, I think is really important, and it's another aspect of the hidden nature of homelessness. Homelessness often looks like criminality. So for someone who's at the grocery store and they see that person sitting on the bench and they're a little disheveled and maybe don't smell great, to them it just looks like a vagrancy problem. Right? So to your point, organically, that might be that moment where you sit down and say, hey, have you had anything to drink today?
Yeah.
Right? Can I buy you some water? Right? A coffee?
Yeah.
What? So, yeah, it really, what that does for that person is amazing because they've been seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you're seen, you can't do anything you don't think you can do.
Right.
Right? And so what I call a death by 1,000 cuts. So most of our clients have been told all their life, either directly or subtly, you don't matter. It's not going to work out. You're a mess up. You're a screw up.
Yep.
Right? And so now that's what they believe.
Sure.
And so when you sit with them and say, I see you, right? And you have value, and I care about you, and you could just see them going, well, maybe I can.
Yeah. It opens that possibility that if you can see me,
And a smile is
what are
free.
you seeing?
Yeah, it
A
is.
smile is free.
You never know if, when the last time was that someone smiled, and, becoming a mentor to all of the different organizations. I'm assuming that any organization would love to have extra hands. I know that we have a mentor program, and like you say, it doesn't take a degree. It just takes compassion and some time. Go for a walk with them. Be that person that they can call if they're struggling that day, and just show them love, and it goes back to the golden rule, right?
Absolutely.
Just get back to basics is my thing.
I love that. Do you think we are, and I don't mean like we, but I just mean community we, the collective. Do you think we get so wrapped up in thinking it's got to be more complicated than that, right? Yeah. If we can have hope of something, just hope. It's such a catalyst to moving to that next brave step. And it's okay not to have the answers, right? Right? You're not going to turn anyone away because they can't answer a question that you ask them.
Yeah.
So it's okay not to have the answers. And I think really great leaders like yourselves have the ability to show that you don't have to have the answers. It's okay. And you can still make the next brave step. So thank you for being those kind of leaders.
And I wasn't a cheerleader, but I mean, I feel like I am now. I mean, that's really what we are, is their biggest cheerleaders,
Yeah.
you know,
I see
as a
that.
whole. Yeah.
We are always so happy to see our folks. Just that they made the appointment, that they did show up, that they remembered. Those are victories right there.
Absolutely.
So
Is it like not all cheerleaders have pom-poms?
yeah,
I think Todd does, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes they do.
There might be a photograph out there.
sometimes you need them.
Yes. Yeah.
It is so true. So one of my clients hadn't shown up for, and this is one of my favorite. I know we're not supposed to have favorites, but this particular client's a favorite. And been homeless for 6 years, and it's making some really good progress. And he hadn't shown up for 2 weeks.
I always get so worried.
I get worried. I got worried, and so then I called, and of course, there's a new phone number every week, and
Oh, gosh,
so
yeah.
I triangulated, got a phone number, got a hold of him, and it was the walking bridge was blocked
Oh, it
because there's
is,
structural
yeah.
problems, and they shut the bridge down. And he couldn't come in from Sagal,
That's right.
right? And so I went out and got him. But it's just those little things that you don't think about.
Yep.
Like you'd be crazy to walk down the freeway
bridge.
side of that.
Yeah, right.
So
Right. Let's maybe not do that if you can.
yeah,
It's such a good example of the barriers, just things that you don't naturally think of that can really cause a hang up for someone.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought of that at
Yeah.
all.
His whole life is just on hold now.
Yeah, because of construction.
Because you physically can't get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't always talk about numbers because I'm not really a numbers person, but it seems applicable to bring up some numbers, to put some numbers to some of this. So do any of you have a place that you like to start with when it comes to statistics and what you're seeing? Because I have some information that Todd helped share,
Yeah.
and we can start there, or if you guys have any other place to start, that's fine too. I just want to give people a picture of really what we're looking at here.
Yeah. I actually, the information, I brought a pit count from the Idaho Housing and Finance. And this is the statistics that the state uses to fund things. I mean, this is what the conversation is based on. We're in Region 1, which is all of northern Idaho. The pit count is a point in time, and it's typically done in January. And it covers both housed and unhoused, so in the shelter or out of the shelter.
Okay.
And so the 2026 is 180 people for this entire region. It's not accurate. It's totally, I had 184 people come through my door last month. 60 of that 184 people make less than $900 a month. You cannot get a room for that,
Right.
let alone an
Not
apartment.
sampling.
And if you can, for how long?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. In 2025, we served 132 program participants. 61 were dependents. And we have 3 locations, which a lot of people are blown away by. So right now, we currently have 54 program participants. And that's under our roof. That's not the community program participants that have their own place that we're still supporting.
Okay.
Yeah, and for us, we're serving 10 to 20 people a year, up and down. But when I think about that specific population within the homeless population, for me, that feels significant. That very, very vulnerable individuals. It's just more than I thought.
The most
there would
at
be.
risk, if you think about it.
Yeah.
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 Very vulnerable that
Very,
way.
yeah, very.
So you're saying 10 to 20 people homeless that
Yeah.
are homeless
Yeah.
in your program.
And that have developmental
Yeah.
disabilities.
That seems significant.
I don't like that one bit.
No.
Not one bit. Nothing about that I like.
No.
But I think to your point about the numbers, that is a worry, that if you're not capturing all the numbers and you're not getting that realistic picture because of this hidden population, it affects your funding. You know, the high risk areas that have volume tend to get more funding, and so bringing light to that rural communities really do have the same issues. It just looks different.
Yeah.
That's good.
That is good, and goes even all the way up to the legislators,
Yep.
you know, and the rules that are being made on their behalf, right?
Yep.
So I think this is actually from your website, Todd, Helping Hands, Healing Hearts. 16% of Sandpoint is at the poverty rate.
Wow.
Does that seem
I
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure does.
I mean,
So, I don't know the exact statistic
and
on
I
that.
think it's from your website.
Yeah, but
But it doesn't.
yeah. So
matter.
here's how I would typify that. So if you let's say you make less than $3,000 a month, okay, you are probably in a situation where you're having a really difficult time, and you made a really good analysis there. So it really comes down to choices. So what happens at $3,000 or less a month is your choices are very limited, and the tolerance for mistakes or problems are very low. Right. So
Yeah.
for one of us, if a vehicle breaks down, right, we go drive one of our other vehicles and tow it to the shop, and who cares, right?
Sure.
When your house is your car and it breaks down, it's catastrophic.
It's catastrophic.
Right, and $3,000 doesn't that whole, if you use your whole monthly salary to fix your car, right, now you don't eat,
Yep.
right,
Yeah.
and so that's really what I want to get the community excited about is meeting those kind of needs for their neighbors, to create a network that helps those single moms when that car, you know, crashes and burns up or does whatever it does, right?
Yep.
Stops running. That there's a community there that will help her,
Yeah.
right? She didn't do anything wrong. She's just trying the best she can.
And if you think about it with that, you know, it's not only she can't eat, I mean, she can use the food bank, right? But that doesn't give everything that's needed. But probably can't pay for laundry, can't pay for showers. And, you know, if she's working, like, you need all those things to stay employed. Todd and I recently met, and he was talking about it takes about $10,000 to get someone to self-sufficiency, right? And so that is, what'd you say, $2,500 for a car
Yeah.
repair?
So basically, it kind of starts at the bottom. So we get someone into a house. So that's first and last month's rent. So it's at least $1,500. You know, right there, probably more. Sometimes as much
Where
as
is that
20.
at?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not in Sandpoint, no.
You're right.
And it's like a shoebox. Yeah.
It's like a shoebox, right? Okay, so you have that initial money there. Then you have to typically, our clients are underemployed, right, or undereducated. So there's an education piece to this. Well, there's another $2,500 or $3,000. There's a lot of. I want to do a shout out for Equus. Equus is a really neat program. They're doing some cool stuff around education.
I agree.
So you have resources that you need to do. Then the car. So we got to get a solid car. That can be a lot, right? That could be the whole $10,000, but it's at least $2,500. I've got a client right now that I need to put $800 worth of tires on her car, right? Or she stops driving,
Right.
right? Because it's just not safe. And then on the top end of that, it has to do with getting all the stuff that we kind of take for granted for life. So it's having nice clothes to go to work, right? We had a young lady that came in, and we got her a haircut the other day for a job interview. And she cried. It was really beautiful because she felt good. Like she felt like she could go take the job interview, right?
Have some pride. And,
Yeah.
you know.
So it's expensive to get over those hurdles to get to that place.
It is.
Sure.
And, you know, when I look at the sector that we serve, our clients can't drive. They don't even have the opportunity to have that. That's just a whole nother group of challenges.
Yeah, right.
You know, to bike to work in the pouring down rain and snow, trying to show up looking good, but this is your situation. Just brings on a whole new buffet of challenges. And just going back to that the poverty number, we serve about 200 people a year. The majority, if not all, survive on SSI. So
Yeah.
that's a huge sect of the population in our community.
Well, and it's not always so easy to just get a ride from someone either.
No,
because
it's-
Right.
a lot of
no.
people are working multiple jobs now, and
We
they're
do.
really managing tight schedules.
That's a big part of how we help people in employment is those natural supports in the job site. Is there that employee? Are there 4 employees that are
Carpool.
willing to make some accommodations? And we do try to show our clients, $5 it helps to pitch into gas. Don't be a needy. Don't be too needy and put too much strain on them to break that relationship. So learning how to do that and how to work with other people in a way that doesn't tap them out is a talent. It takes an art to do that. And that's some of the kind of coaching we do.
Yeah, reciprocity is important.
Yeah.
That's another place where a mentor is fantastic,
Yeah.
right?
So
Because there's
true.
that ride when the day's rainy.
Yes.
There's the insight onto, okay, well, this is how you produce reciprocity in a relationship. You give a little gas because
Yeah,
they came and picked you up, right?
Even if it's a little, that goes a long way. And
Yeah.
to what Rebekah was saying, like that's where the challenges are with Spot Bus. Well, they stop running at 6.
6 or 6:30. I
And
think.
Yeah.
so what if you work till 8?
Or graveyards even.
And yeah, so
Right.
now you got there on the Spot Bus. How do you get home? And some of our folks just choose to bike because they can only get one way. So they're like, it's better for me to have my bike.
And like Walmart, their night shift starts at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if they show up at 6:30, what are they doing from 6:30 till 10?
Yeah.
And
Right.
Summertime, it's probably fine to ride your bike from downtown or Memorial, to Walmart, but not in the winter.
No,
Yeah.
not a favorite activity.
Right. Yeah. So,
Yeah, these are really great points. I feel like we could talk all day, and I kind of wish we could, to be honest. But is there anything we haven't covered yet from any of you that you would really like to touch on in light of giving this hidden homelessness a face?
I think just if the community, and maybe I should try and talk more about our program, but whatever you're drawn to, whatever organization, to me, it doesn't matter what organization you're drawn to, give them a call, see how you can help support them. Even if you can give an hour a week. I mean, an hour a week to me sounds magical, just to be that, and it doesn't have to be a mentor, although that would be amazing. But there's so many things that anyone could volunteer and do.
Even small amounts of funding can be a big
Yes.
impact. And I think kind of what you're saying, any program, we're all very connected, and when one agency struggles, we all feel the wobble.
Sure.
Yes.
So all of us staying solid, staying kind of united, and being able to continue, it's critical. We're connected.
Absolutely.
And to kind of break it down, like for us, it's about $25 a day per program participant to support them.
Okay.
So it adds up quickly.
Yeah, no doubt.
And a small amount does help,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
One of my
Absolutely.
favorite donors sends us in an old school. Remember the old envelopes that have the little scratches through them? And she has the little sticker with her name on it. And she must have been a stamp collector because there's like stacks of these old stamps.
I love it.
And it's $10. And she sends it faithfully every month with
Yeah.
that beautiful little envelope.
That's pretty cool.
Every time I open that letter, I'm just like, that's
Aw.
amazing. Because
Yeah.
her situation's not all that great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but making that effort
Yeah.
anyways. I love that.
100%.
I do too. And just one more thought I have, at least, is I've been having different conversations from folks at the library to schools or the senior center. The benefits that can come from that intergenerational mix is truly invaluable on every end of it. So there's never a too old or too young to make a difference in somebody's life.
Absolutely.
We're really seeing that, and I'm hearing a lot of people saying that too. So, you guys are awesome. Thank you for everything
Thank
that you're
you.
doing, and for just being able to be here today, even. I just really enjoyed having you guys here, so thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, friends, thanks for listening. I'll be back soon with more of the good news, but in the meantime, you can keep up with us on Facebook, Instagram, and at crecIdaho.com. Until next time.